Alhamisi ijayo tutakwenda kule uwanja ya Kamkunji. Natumalika Wakenya wote wafike pale tushauriane, tulize Kenya naelekea wapi. Je, ni haki kwa wale wanne watolewe? Mnakwenda watolewe?
Nimemwambia Profesa Kindiki aulize hawa watu schedule ya maandamano, ndio tuwapatie askari ya kuwachunga wasiharibu mali ya watu. Kama wanataka kufanya every day ama every week ama every month na kwa miaka ngapi,
hata tupea askari wa mlinde, bora wasiguse mali yetu. Sio tu wasifanye looting na kuharibu mali yetu, hiyo peke yake. Lakini wafanya mkutano kelele, wapige kutoka asubuhi mpaka.
Kenya is not going to be the same. You will not blackmail this nation. You will not threaten the people of Kenya. We are determined to move the country forward, and you will not hold us back.
All right. Those are the three top politicians in the country at the moment. And you hear them, Honorable Elachi, let me begin with you, because your leader, your party leader, ODM, but also in the coalition, Azimio la Umoja on Kenya, is explaining what the agenda should be. But when you look at what you've experienced over the years, what must be different this time? Because we've heard of similar plots. It was there in 2017 as well. What is different this time?
You see, first of all, it's very unfortunate. You know, I never expected that we will go back to this rhetoric language, all of us, you know, all the leaders. It's very unfortunate that here we are, we say, I believe we have many ways of just dealing with issues. But if you feel, it's unfortunate when we are saying it in church, all of us are Christians, I will want my president not to say hawa si watu, ni wa Kenya wana majina. Yeah, you can use a name and argue the case as you want. But then you are also a pillar of peace in the country. But it seems, yeah, I agree with the president. He says Kenya will not be the same. It means for him, the word in terms of being our pillar of peace, our pillar of unity, even as much as you will not agree with me, because you don't need to agree with me. Yes, you don't need to agree. You can dislike, do everything, but there is a way we can do it in terms of appreciating where the country has come from. We've come from a very, very, I would say, an administration which they were part of, and which we were part of, sorry.
Right.
And it was so sad the way we did Kenyans, you know. We made Kenyans become enemies to each other. They have never known why Uhuru and Ruto brought all this enmity, and now we are moving on with it. It is not right, you know. I would have wished a different way of managing. Since Uhuru managed it badly, as they say, this one I thought, standing on the pulpit, believing in God, saying the words we say, as the Bible says, we would have done it a bit differently. Having said that, let me come now to Baba. I agree Baba wants to deal with the issues of economy, all these issues. The biggest challenge that Baba faces in all this is the reason of carrying the baggage of Uhuru. And he should know that is the reason why it hit him so hard. You took baggage that was of this administration, and now they threw it to you. You look the bad one, yet they are the ones who messed after Kibaki. And I've always said that. Messed the country. Brought it to a way where you compete on tenderpreneurship, on government projects, so that you do tenders, you do business. And then when the business became sour, you became enemies of each other. And then when you look at Elachi, because Elachi, I stood with the president. I will never, I said, yeah, I'll never abuse my president. He's my president now. yeah, the same way I did with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Not that I agreed in everything that Uhuru did. I knew by the time you're coming to kill people's business, Humphrey, people who are very innocent, who are just doing their businesses. But then Baba should know he carried the baggage that was never his. And so from here, he has to look over a strategy of dealing. Because I would say this, and this is me now, this is not Azmio, Sijui, me. The way I normally say, sometimes I will agree with my leader, but when I can feel there is something wrong, I will say as it is. And I'm saying this morning, after COVID, post-COVID, surely these leaders would really have understood that Kenyans went through hell. Business went down. They are recovering for heaven's sake. They are really praying how they can bring back things to normalcy. When I look at my people in the Greater North, they have no jobs. Every day, even if you give someone a job, others will abuse, others will appreciate, others are wondering today, what am I going to pay rent? I have a kid in standard 8. I have a kid who is going to Form 4. I have a kid who has just finished grade 6, going to grade 7. 3 in 1. Courtesy of government, who decided we go into a new dispensation of education. And so he or she as a parent was not expecting that he will have 2 kids who are supposed to be joining, where we have not dealt with school uniform, which is 23,000, just school uniform. We've not even asked why we are supposed, parents pay such amount. And yet, we are here now. We want as leaders, this one say, hawa watu. Kumaanisha wakinelachi wote ndani, sisi si wa Kenya, sisi ni watu. Because we are in that Azimio. Yes, I want to be honest. And then, yet I thought you would come and say, we have had this. We are saying as leaders, this is not the right way. And so I want to tell the church, before now we start becoming also feeling a bit disappointed and running away from church, is that you are the ones who need to talk to these leaders and tell them where you are headed is not right. Both of them. Because you can't say,
how difficult is it?
You are giving us a time.
How difficult is it for you? Because you also have a leader in your political party. How difficult is it to tell your leader?
Well, I'm telling my leader now. But also, Sam, where am I? I've just told Baba, the biggest challenge Baba faces was to carry Uhuru's baggage.
Because now when you push the burden to the religious leaders, is it...
I'm not pushing.
Your own...
The religious leaders have been part of every process in this country. Since I started knowing religious leaders, since I started working with them, they've been part of development, of ensuring there is peace, of ensuring when leaders decide to do wrong things, they would come in. So if today they have decided it is not part of their process, then as leaders will come in and say, this is not the right way. For now, for December especially, for parents who are thinking where they are going to get school fees, you know, even the month is not even right.
Okay.
For us thinking to return words each other every time, it will not be healthy for Kenya. It will not be healthy for any person who wants to invest in this country. It would.
I hear you, Honorable Wandeto. So
yes.
Tell me about these planned meetings and what Honorable Elachide is talking about taking the wrong path so early in the 5-year term, but also too late in the year 2022. What should we be thinking about at this point?
The Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, Article 37, basically guarantees every citizen peacefully and unarmed to assemble, to picket, to demonstrate, and to file public petitions. What the president was saying yesterday, first of all, is that he will uphold the Constitution. You heard him, asking the people who are planning these rallies to basically tell us the program so that security can be provided. So I think for me that is a very positive thing. The president intends to uphold the Constitution. But we must also ask ourselves...
When you listen to him, what do you get from the tone?
Well, I think, and that's this is now what I'm coming to. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm coming to. I think what the president was saying in one part, we will uphold the Constitution. You have a right to do what you are doing. But I think on the other side is to ask ourselves, what should we be doing at this time as a country? And I think that's a more important conversation. And if you look at the issues in the country right now, the drought, the collapsed economy, all the challenges of the millions of our jobless youth, what should we be as a country what should we be focusing on as a country? And I think this is the most important conversation. And what would be expecting the opposition to be doing right now is to basically be doing a very critical look at the government programs and, providing oversight and criticizing them so that the government can even have better input in terms of, the programs that it is implementing. Mm-hmm. And if I were Raila Odinga, and especially at this time, after having tried the presidency for about 5 times, I should be thinking about a legacy. And it will be very, very sad if after all the work Raila Odinga has done over the years for this country, and you cannot discount his contribution to the political discourse, to the the liberation of this country. That is, no one discounts that. Mm-hmm. But what should he be doing? This time, I think you should be thinking about his legacy, and you do not want that the only thing that Kenyans will remember you about was demonstrations. And you know what happens with demonstrations in this country. Business is closed. We never know. Sometimes we've lost lives. We have a destruction of property, and this is the route that everyone fears. Going. And I think it's a bit ill-advised. It's a bit ill-timed for the leader of opposition to be going to the streets. Mm-hmm. I think what he should be doing is to organize his troops in parliament. Right now, the troops in Azimio side, I can tell you some, without fear of contradiction, they are in disarray in parliament. So there is not much happening, from an oversight point of view. I think he should be organizing his MPs. He should be organizing his senators, so that he has a very, very, very strong opposition in parliament.
What's not happening?
We have seen them even in important motions, the other side of the bench being virtually vacant. So we don't feel like there is very, very good coordination on that side. I know even the Jubilee people of Azimio and the ODM people in Azimio, currently I don't think they are singing from the same song sheet as we speak. I think that has been, in public knowledge. So I think they should be busy organizing their house first before calling Kenyans to the street. And if they want to call Kenyans to the street, it's also good to remind them that those leaders have just sent their children to Yala to be MPs there. Geoffrey, maybe they should also recall their children so that we know that we all do it together.
Words. Those are words of the other Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua. He comes from your county, maybe. Let's listen to what more the 3 leaders have been speaking about, and that is on the split about the IEBC commissioners. You know that last week Parliament voted to establish a tribunal to remove 4 IEBC commissioners. One of them has since resigned. Watch.
Kwanza ile Terera na wale wenzake watatu sasa mpaka watolewe katika tume ya uchaguzi. Ati walidanganya Wakenya. Sio Chebukati wenzake, hapana, Terera ni wenzake.
Sisi tunamuonea inaitwa 18. Tunakuomba tukiwa hapa kwa mlima, president wetu, sisi tumechangia kiasi kikubwa kwa serikali yako. Hiyo mzee hatutaki kwa serikali yetu.
Hawa watu tunawajua kwamba hawataki uchumi wa Kenya iendelee, kwa sababu wamezoea kuweka watu kwenye umaskini ndio waweze kuwatawala, ndio waweze kufanya yale mambo yanafanya.
The handshake was a bad experiment. It is the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of Kenya for 60 years. All the economic mess we are having today is as a result of that handshake. Yeye afanye kazi yake ya upinzani.
Okay, I bet, were you there? Were you in Embu?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
I was in Teto this weekend.
I bet that was just after the sermon. Honorable Naomi Wako, so when you listen to that, I mean, again, what are we supposed to be thinking? Because we are in a situation, the Deputy President says that the handshake is responsible for the economic mess that we are in. So that may be a political statement, but we can agree that there are certain economic challenges that actually propelled the Kenya Kwanza government into office. What should we be thinking about and pursuing in terms of the leadership of this country?
Sam, allow me just to take you back for a minute to the earlier debate on the rallies that the former Prime Minister is organizing. I just want to add my voice to that, because where we are as a country is quite delicate, because it's about 5 months since we did our elections, and there are students who are sitting for the exams, our candidates in Form 4. Parents are struggling, as Mheshimiwa Elachi said, to put their coins together so that they can send back their children to school in January. Those who are finishing their schools, you know, the parents are still struggling because our economy has been very bad. And so for the former president, for the former Prime Minister to call people for rallies at this particular time, I think the timing is completely wrong. And yes, I know he has very faithful followers, but even Kenyans should sit and reason, and say, if it is wrong, it is wrong. As Mheshimiwa Elachi said, this is wrong and we cannot condone. Why? Because once it happens, it will take down our economy again in a big way. The very first day they will do that, there will be a drop in our economy. And it happens. It always happens. And the thing is, it is not the first time he has organized. He has always done that. And maybe, you know, you only invest in where you know that you will get back some good interest.
What do you mean with that?
Yes, maybe from the rallies he knows that something good may come. But unfortunately, for Kenya Kwanza government, he will do the rallies, he will mobilize the people. The role of our government is to protect the lives of the people and to protect the properties. And we will not give in at any cost. We will not bend. We will give him all the opportunity to mobilize people to make all the noise. And the things he has said, that, you know, he will do a parallel Jamhuri Day, whatever celebration. Which government will accept that? None. Number two, he says it is because of high cost living. We've been in that even during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, even during the last regime. Why didn't he make noise? And he was there. The other thing is unfair treatment of the Cherera 4. He should wait for the come out, for the result. You know, we are forming the tribunal. The parliament has done its job. Why should he make noise on the streets? Kenya is a country that lives under the Constitution, and we all respect our Constitution. And making noise will not help anybody. The other thing is failure to provide interest-free loan. He wasn't in Kenya Kwanza government when we came up with that idea. And so he cannot talk as if you know, he was there from the very beginning. And by the way, he's not even one of the beneficiaries because he doesn't need that. He doesn't need that. He doesn't need the loan. So it is for the Kenyans to apply for the loan if you are interested, and if you are not, then you have all the freedom. So you should not also interfere with that. And the GMO thing. But unfortunately, as somebody who comes from northern part of Kenya, where we are losing all our animals and even the lives of people is at risk, he has not talked about the drought and the people who are affected by the drought. He has not remembered thousands and thousands of northern Kenya people who are dying because of hunger. He would have called the government to provide food and also see how they can salvage the situation. He has not remembered us. That means that some people in some parts of this country are not important to him.
Honorable Naomi Wako, sorry to cut you short, but what do you think Raila Odinga should be doing? What is his role in the country's democracy?
He is opposition leader, and his roles are well defined in the Constitution. Our government has given him all the freedom to exercise that.
What are those roles?
He needs to put his, they need to check on our government and see where we are going wrong and correct us, but not in the way that he's doing it. He has a better way of doing that. He has a better way of expressing his anger and dissatisfaction. So calling people in a way is to bring down the government.
I hear you. He should be checking on how your government is doing. Yes. I presume you mean yourself included.
Yes.
But how exactly should he do that? He's not in parliament. He's not in...
He has his members there. He has the Azimio team. So they sit on the opposition side.
As a person.
Yes, he needs to just mobilize his people and empower them.
Honorable Elachi, because again, like I said, we've been here before, and there was a cartoon in one of the dailies over the weekend that Raila Odinga has stood against Mwai Kibaki, against Uhuru Kenyatta, and now against William Ruto. What should he be doing that is meaningful to the democracy of Kenya, and how?
As I started, I said what? It was unfortunate. Now, what Baba should do, I will say like Mheshimiwa, look at his legacy, so that his legacy does not also go down the drain, because we have a young generation that will not understand so much the history of His Excellency the Prime Minister. They won't understand. And that is the challenge. The people you are talking to are not the people who walked with you a journey that they understand. Indeed, every right that we enjoy today, even how we speak, yes, is because of the former Prime Minister, Baba. And for sure, that one, nobody will ever take it out from Baba. And even today, for us just having that right to even come here and talk the way we are talking, it's because of him. But then I have said, we have to look also at the generation we are now speaking to and where we are headed to. But one of the things then, all of us, I think we need to look at also the new, our constitution. You know, as Kenyans, there are many things, as much as we say we cannot, we don't want to change. We have to, so that we understand this thing of opposition. Because within the new constitution, in parliament, there's nothing called opposition. Why? You have a minority side and a majority side, but their pecs are the same. Start from there. So what is it that is there that is not? What Mheshimiwa, my whip has, is what the other whip has. So you can't. When we go in committees, which our new constitution designed us to work more in committees, is within those committees. If you will not find members coming out disagreeing in those committees, definitely then you'll have already supported the government, isn't it? So you can't come on the floor of the House and say again, you can't support the government. You supported in the report in the committee. You finished. You can't come and now, we are playing games. Let me tell Kenyans. Kenyans, we work in parliament in committees. The moment you see us on the floor of the House doing the gerrymandering that we are doing, trying to please you, or that we are lying to you Kenyans. I will tell you this morning. Because we've already agreed with the committee, we have passed everything for the government, and therefore the government will move. That is why you go for vetting. Did you see in the vetting there was minority or majority? No. We vetted PSS, all of us. We vetted CSS, all of us. Yeah. Didn't we support government? So I want also the government to understand, in the new dispensation, it is not the Moi regime dispensation, where we had one constitution, or the Kibaki regime. It is a new dispensation where you must appreciate all these things have a reason in the constitution. And the reason why we agreed on that was to bring the tolerance down, was to bring Kenya into a mood that you move it from where we used to bicker to each other in platforms, but come and now work as a country, as one. Yes, I can disagree on a few things, But in the end, we will move the government. And the government has to work for every Kenyan. That is why we agreed to have revenue taken, devolved to systems where everyone can get development.
Okay, I hear you. And you're saying that he needs now to secure his legacy.
Yes.
How does he do that? To stop talking?
No, no, no. Papa will go. I mean, His Excellency will continue speaking. That is okay. But guide the country also. Where there is wrong, yes, you have a platform, call in. It does not need to be man-to-man. You can call in a big conference meeting for people to just come and they will speak out. They will tell you, this is what we feel is wrong. This is what, in many organized way, or you can still do the rally, but do the rally in a manner, not the way we are now arguing. And also, I have said, you look at the timings. Look at the timings of Kenyans and also have empathy that there are times when Kenyans, this is a time, for the first time after COVID, do you know this might be the first time people will celebrate Christmas openly?
Yeah.
It will be the first time. So why can't we look at all those signs and ask ourselves that as a country, this is the first time the people of Coast Province will see a lot of domestic tourism going there. This is the first time Nairobians are trying to come by. In fact, one of the things, let me now be a bit political. You know, when we are in the House, Nairobians, the members of Parliament of Nairobi, and even our senators, we are nobodies. The leadership there thinks Nairobi is just there. Now, when it comes to deal with critical issues, now you remember, oh, there's Nairobi. But when we were saying, give Sifuna at least leadership, we're organizing as a leader. But we don't have anything, even in terms of committees, by the way. Maybe I have one, the rest, CG, what? That is how they look at us in Nairobi. Now you want to come and use Nairobi for us again to be the ones now to deal with the magnitude, while the counties you felt are the counties that must have the leaderships and everything are okay. No, 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 no.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about, yeah, they understand what I'm talking about. Whoever is watching in Azimio.
But I don't.
Yeah, you should not.
Speak to me.
They understand that you cannot be using a platform to come and deal with critical issues, but you don't feel none of them deserve to be in any leadership. But then when...
So you're saying no member of parliament from Nairobi is in leadership?
None. Yet now, Nairobi are the ones, as we are supposed now to start organizing to make things work for Kenya. I think you should respect that first, and then when you come, you'll find a leadership. That leadership will guide you, will tell you we can move one or two things together in this manner. Okay. Yeah. I think it is also good. I've spoken that. I've been waiting to tell them, you don't just use Nairobi to do these things you want. You also have to respect Nairobi as a county. It gave you a lot of votes. And so, at least in the Senate, they deserved to have some leadership.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I want us to listen to another clip of Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, who is the majority leader at the National Assembly. He said something about IEBC commissioners, and I want to relate that to what Honorable Naomi Wako just said a few minutes ago. Watch.
I want to plead with you. Spare Kenyans the time, spare us the money, spare us the effort. Please resign like Commissioner Nyang'aya did. Wale watatu wamebaki. Ili tusipeleke nchi yetu kwa mambo mingi, na mnajua yale mlifanya, wale walio waongoza kufanya hayo, ndio leo wanaambia ati mkae hapo watawasaidia na maandamano. Hakuna mahali maandamano itawapeleka.
Okay, so Honorable Wandeto, so listening to your leader in the National Assembly, your leader of majority, it sounds like the case has already been sealed, that yes, they'll go through the tribunal, but there's only one route. You're not coming back to the commission. Why should those three commissioners approach or face the tribunal expecting fairness?
I don't think their fate has been sealed. Otherwise, that is why a tribunal will be formed and they'll be listened to. I think they'll be accorded even the opportunity to bring in counsel and defend themselves. But before we deal with the tribunal, because we'll be preempting what is going to happen there, it is very, very important to go back in history and just realize what happened about 3 months ago and what these 4 commissioners were about to do. I was at Bomas on that fateful day. I saw the microphones being thrown. I saw the chairs being tossed from the podium. I saw the, people almost getting assaulted. And this was a very, very dark day for our country. Were it not for God's miraculous hand, somehow, we managed to get ourselves out of this. These were people who were very, very determined to poke or to drill a hole in this ship called MV Kenya, and which we know this is the only vessel we have for all of us to move ourselves forward. And we know that they would have basically sunk the ship. I still remember at Bomas, the choir kept singing, just like in the story of the Titanic. Even when things were going wrong, there was still a choir singing. But it was a very, very sad day. And were it not for the...
You blame that on the commissioners?
Well, I'm just trying to put together the story. And were it not for the bravery of the chairman and the other 2 commissioners who stood their ground and said that this exercise so far has gone well, the results have not been contested, nothing has come forward to show that the way the process is going, anything amiss has happened. These 4 commissioners just basically walked out, and all they were trying to do was, in my opinion, for lack of a better word, to stage a daylight coup on on Kenya. It was basically, what they did was actually something very, very serious, from the oath they had taken, from what they were just about to do in this country, because assume some that day the election was disputed, or the election was called in favor of the person who did not have the highest vote. And it is good to remember that our constitution, the winner of a presidential election is the person who gets the highest number of votes, of course, meeting the 50+1. It is not the person who has contested the most times. It is not the person who maybe, people are sympathetic maybe with, or he should be president or not. The constitution is very, very clear about who should be the winner, and that is what the chairman was trying to uphold. So I think, without preempting the work of the tribunal, what the 4 commissioners did was very, very serious. We await to hear their side of the story. The country is waiting. The country will be watching. But I think this is a very, very major lesson that the country is fragile, and the acts of a few people can basically cause us to sink.
All right, let's take a look at some of the feedback that has come to us via Twitter. Citizen TV Kenya at Sam Gituku, the hashtag to use is Daybreak. What are Kenyans saying this morning? And we begin with Dixon Oloch, who is saying that Article 37 of the Constitution allows people to free assembly, demonstration, and picketing. When was it suspended? Okay. Godi Baraza, the country is not in a good spot economically. The call for mass action and demonstrations by Azimio la Umoja is totally unnecessary. Let's try to steady our country's developmental affairs first, and other things will follow. Engineer Lazaro, leaders should look for other alternative ways of putting government in check. I don't support street demonstrations by now. Ruto also should stop chest thumping. Building economy needs all Kenyans. You can't isolate some people. Atanas Mavuti, the economic mess President Ruto is sorting out was created under Raila's watch during handshake government. Raila should give the president peace to implement his manifesto. Let him use his troops in parliament to check the government, not through demonstrations. And Ringe Waso, you're saying that what Azimio la Umoja is planning to do with regards to protest of IEBC is a constitutionally provided for mechanism. Azimio under Raila wants to help end any kind of election malpractice going forward. And Honorable, I need us to exit from this topic, but Honorable Elachi, how are you moving along in Parliament? Because when Justice Legal Affairs Committee was meeting, the Azimio members walked out. They're not part of the meeting, the committee meeting that ended up hearing the petitions against the IEBC commissioners, but also how you're organizing yourselves. He says that you're not present on the floor of the House.
Well, I am present, so I don't know. He knows, I don't know how to take the register, but you see, in Parliament, you don't need to be in the seat. You just need to know where you are. So in terms of present, I've always been
She was there, yeah.
And when I'm not present, I'm somewhere else doing my work because it is my duty. That is me. But then let me say this. You know, there were two ways of managing this process. I think I wish we did it the way we did with the other IEBC. They've just given the commissioners an opportunity to resign and just pay their dues and let them leave. I mean, we did it so well last time. I don't know why we've decided to make this an issue where we are just in combat. And in the end, anyway, the tribunal will just give the same. But after the Supreme Court...
You don't think they're innocent?
Well, whether they are innocent or not innocent, their cast was dyed the day we finished everything. Why would I lie here? You know, I don't like carrying something that I know. I don't want to please any Kenyan to a lie. No. The day we finished the election, their die was cast. That was the most unfortunate thing. The day we finished with Supreme Court, in fact. And so, we would have given them an opportunity to just resign. We didn't even need the tribunal, surely. We didn't need to use people bringing petitions, yet it is us bringing the petition and all that. We would just have sat as Parliament, looked at all the merits, how we went through this election. If Parliament was now doing it in a sober way, and tell them, we are giving you this opportunity or this opportunity. You resign or we take you through a tribunal. And it would have been well.
But how do you do that at a time they didn't even appear before the committee themselves? And,
well,
the leadership,
that's why I'm saying, you remember, this is not the first time we are kicking out IEBC. We did that to Akina Ahmed Hassan.
Yes.
You know, but we used a proper way of doing it. And we went through the merits and looked at every issue that we felt was done wrong. Now, there were many issues also in this election which we have refused to deal with. We've just come and dealt with the commissioners. But I think it has been a process since we started with how did you do your tendering. I wish we just went through that same process that we did with the other commissioners. And we say, look, this we must finish and clean. Now, so that the whole team is leaving now. You see, we must sit down also in a very good bipartisan way to ask ourselves, how are we bringing back a clean IEBC? Because now it will be all new commissioners, isn't it? And I remember raising that issue on the floor of the House, that yes, we are going to deal with this, but I don't think we are solving the problem. We are just removing, but we have not sat down and agree. These are some of the challenges that has made us find ourselves maybe to the brink or not to the brink, or all these things we do. How can it be managed well? And I even said it is time we also look at the process even of the staff, because some of the staff also applied to become commissioners. Meaning, do we allow such? You see, in the end of the day, so you applied to be a commissioner, then you became a staff again, there were new commissioners. That thing is really in a mixture that needs to be reorganized so that if you are a staff in IEBC, if you want to apply to become a commissioner, and you must resign completely. And when you don't get, you have to leave. Why? Because when you come back, you still have that interest within that institution. It's not like other institutions. It's a very political institution. That is the challenge. Yes.
Don't we all look for different jobs at different times? Sometimes we get
some. That is why I'm saying, when you agree to go into IEBC, you should know it's a very, very sensitive institution. It's not like these other institutions. Okay. These other institutions you go, you don't deal so much with the look at how the politics is. Because even now, you will find us vindicating others even when, and they were just staff. So we want to also pull them into this murky water. If we are saying the commissioners are leaving, then let us not come here and punish the staff.
Okay.
Let us also ensure staff were working for commissioners. They were not working based on what they believed in. They were working for them because they are staff. You have to work for every commissioner. So if the commissioner is now into all this trouble, don't also drag in the staff. That's why I'm saying it's a very sensitive...
I see what you're saying, because
Yes.
there are some of the members of staff that are in trouble, including the Deputy Chief Executive
Yes.
Officer.
So now they are in trouble because of working of commissioners. I mean, you've politicized even the whole institution again, you see? And that is why I'm saying, if you are dealing with the commissioners, spare the staff. You can decide to deploy them, but you can't punish them because they were working for commissioners.
Okay, I hear you. Honorable Naomi Wako, because you mentioned that the commissioners have an opportunity to appear before the tribunal. But, I mean, you've been hearing the leadership of Kenya Kwanza from day one, including William Ruto, who says that rogue officials have to be dealt with, Kimani Ichung'wah, who says you better resign and save the country from all these murky waters. So do you see any element of fairness, but thinking as a leader who's observed elections in this country, what is the best way out from this?
If we just maybe take our minds back to 2006-07, immediately after elections, this country came down. And there was a lot of bloodshed, and our country was destroyed within few hours. Of course, any leader wouldn't want us to go back to that. What the four commissioners did was kind of taking us to that history. And leave about the leaders or the political leaders, but even the common, the ordinary mwananchi wouldn't want that to happen again. So what Kenya Kwanza is doing is just to safeguard the country, because the attempt was so serious such that we wouldn't want to imagine of the outcome. And the other thing again is, by appearing before the Legal and Justice Committee, Jailer Committee, they have been given the opportunity to defend themselves. Even in that, you can see some did not appear, some wrote a letter. They tried to, do different things to avoid. And sometimes if you want to solve a problem, you deal with the issues in the right way, instead of trying to confuse people when you know very well what you have done. So the government has given them enough opportunity. I am sure the option of resigning earlier was also there, but they still feel that they have a case, and they still feel with the support they will get from the mass and the leader of opposition, they might be saved. But I think it is good for them to reflect, because they are the ones to suffer. The four commissioners are the ones to suffer. Even appearing before the tribunal, they have already seen how the other process went when they appeared through before the Jailer Committee. So it is still in their hands. They can still decide on the best way to handle this. They can say, yes, we can resign and forget the whole thing. And if they resign, maybe the better for them. But if they just want to see how things will go, because these demonstrations will also take place, and they might think that that will help them, I think they have all the freedom. But Kenya Kwanza has given them the opportunity to either resign earlier or even today, because immediately after we voted, our majority leader stood up and said, when he was giving his comments and we were concluding on that, he said, we are giving you the opportunity. Do not waste our resources. Do not waste Kenyans' time. Resign, and that is the best thing for you to do. And the best thing for me, I would have done is to negotiate with the government.
Okay.
So that they can see how best we can come out of that. So it is not good for them even to expose themselves in that manner, and especially for the ladies, because I know we are more vulnerable, and you have a future after this. You have a life after this. You have a family. And you are still a Kenyan, and who knows, maybe 5 years down the line, you might, or even 2 years down the line, you might come back to this government and seek for a job.
Okay.
So it is high time for them to reflect and see how best they can save themselves from many things that this will take them.
All right. Looking at some of the tweets that have been exchanged between the president and the leader of Azimio, William Ruto tweeted, "Even with the system or deep state, you lost the election. Stop deluding yourself and lying. The coup to overturn the people's will using rogue commissioners you are now threatening us with maandamano about failed. Their guilt or innocence will be determined by a tribunal. Rule of law it is." Then there's something that Raila Odinga said, "We know what they did, how they did it, and who helped them do it. We shall reveal all that shortly. Our meeting this coming Wednesday will proceed as planned. Tukutane Kamukunji, asanteni utawala." Then I raise these issues because I've witnessed the dictatorship emerge and bloom. I've witnessed self-proclaimed God-fearing leaders preside over the persecution, false prosecution, and even murder of innocent Kenyans. I've witnessed an insecure regime run our economy to the ground. And I want us now to transition to our final topic of the morning, that is about